if your vocals are lacking intensity, one almost surefire way to kick them in the butt is to pull out the compressor and give it a big old black eye. Just beat the living hell out of it. And this is something that you always hear opposing views in recording, and you'll read somewhere in some magazine that some guy hates compression, and maybe he did. I don't know, Mariah Carey recorded her. Anyway, maybe he recorded Mariah Carey or somebody important and whatever, and you go, well, I must trust him, which is fine. But does his view on compression, where maybe he only uses 1 decibel and that's it, apply to you? Well, when I was at Michael Wagner workshop in 2006, I couldn't believe how much compression this guy was using. 18 decibels on the way in of reduction, and then another 20 on the way out. I mean, he was just compressing. He didn't care. He was looking for something. He knew he could get it. So try both methods here. But right now we're going to talk about how to abuse a vocal. Now, I have a vocal that I'm not in love with. In fact, I don't like it. I'm not real happy with it at all. We tracked this last week. The singer wasn't tip-top. And here's the dry track. The mix might be a little screwy because whatever.
I want you tonight. These fists are clenched and ready to fight. I want you tonight. Strap in, get ready for a fight.
Okay, I don't like much about that at all. I don't. The vibe's not right. There's some pitch issues. There's some timing issues. A lot of it just doesn't feel good. And I covered this in the EQ series about using filters creatively. And so I've got Sound Toys Filter Freak doing some pretty radical stuff. Let's listen to that now.
I want you tonight. These fists are clenched and ready to fight. I want you tonight. Strap in, get ready for a fight.
Okay, and I'd say that's 1,000% better. And just to be honest here, I am compressing with the Filter Freak because I'm overloading the input. You can saturate this thing. One of the smart things about pretty much every Sound Toys product, you can usually overload something, and that's almost always good. Now, it was 1,000 times improvement. I'm way happier with the vocal already. And this is one of those deals where engineering starts to get into the emotional side of things. We can make music more exciting. Particularly on a bad day. When it's done perfectly, usually we just kind of stay out of the way. Anyway, I liked it 1,000 times better, but it's still not as good as it needs to be. Something about it's not right. And so I'm using the stock Cubase, they call it vintage compressor. And if they wanted this convincing, they would have made it wood grain and made it look old. But so now everybody's not gonna take them seriously. But anyway, let's hear it now. All right, and without it, let's just focus on that phrase. And that phrase wasn't bad in the original take anyway, but without the compressor, okay, I can live with it. And then with the compressor, I'm hearing stuff, and this is subtle stuff, but this is the kind of thing that for me makes a huge difference on a recording. On night, there's a certain oomph. There's a certain I don't know how to describe this stuff in words. But there's a certain thing that gets brought out with this compressor. Now, listen to night again, the last word. It's the way he lets go. Maybe it's the reverb. I don't know, but there's something about that just really works for me. Now, when we listen to it without the compressor, it's not there. Or it's there, but it's just not the same. It's Clark Kent. It's not Superman. I don't know. Now take a look at my settings on this vintage compressor. I have the attack on 0.1, release on 10, so basically it's set as a limiter, as fast as this thing will go. Input, now this works kind of like a distressor. It's a fixed threshold style of compressor, so if we want more compression, we just crank up the input, and then obviously we have to back off on the output to compensate. Well, you know what I did? I just turned it all the way up. Like, look at the gain reduction here, so you can see how much damage I'm doing to this thing. Okay, so that's about 18 decibels, give or take. Which I already compressed this on the way in. I didn't actually love the way I compressed it. This was a real quick session type of thing. It was not really meant to be a keeper thing. In particular, when he really digs in. I mean, I think my distressor was probably in the red on that. Normally the distressor is really smooth, but something's distorted. And that's one of the reasons I decided to go this way of just crushing the thing. Like, we can actually make it sound less overcompressed by just saying, screw it, we're going to compress the living hell out of it. And so the point here is if a vocal needs something, try just smashing it. And, I mean, hard. I mean, go harder than you normally would. And you will bring up artifacts. In fact, I had this punch button pushed. Listen to it now. All kinds of weirdness was going on.
I want you tonight. These fists are clenched and ready to fight. I want you tonight.
Anyway, you heard that on Clenched and Ready to Fight. This meter's going nuts. I don't know what this compressor's supposed to be doing. But we were having all kinds of little pops and weirdnesses popping through. Don't ask me. Okay, so be careful with that stuff. And even if you have to edit out breaths, or I should say edit them out, but pull them way down or whatever so they're not as overly dramatic, feel free to do that if you can get what you need by this 20 additional decibels of reduction. It could just be what your vocal tracks need. All right, guys, thanks. Bye.